Hello and welcome to the morning after show presented by our good friends over at betonline.ag. My name is Joshua Reimer. I am joined by none other than a sick Jared Block. Jared, we've been off for a while. We kind of took like a smaller sabbatical than we did during the Super Bowl or after the Super Bowl. I needed sleep on Monday, then you got sick. And so yeah, we had a few days off from the morning after show, but we're back and we're here and we're ready to talk about all the sports that we missed.
Yeah, this is always a really rough time for everybody. As far as me, this I only get sick like once or twice a year, and it's exactly this time of year every single year. So whether it be that, I'm running between two houses right now for family and vacation purposes. So it's been a crazy last week and a half, but we're here. We missed a lot of stuff. We're not gonna be able to cover it all, but we have a full show today.
Yeah, definitely a full show without a doubt. Lots to talk about, lots to catch people up on. By the way, thank you, R. Hartley, for subbing at Tier 1 for 19 months. Man, that's insane. That's a lot of months there. Bacon says, good morning. Good morning, sir. Yeah, we have plenty to talk about, so let's get into it. Let's get into the NBA recap, start talking about everything that happened in the NBA last night, and we can kind of just start off with last night's slate because it was definitely an interesting one, man. We saw I kind of called this on the on 30 to lock when we were talking about this game. I said, Orlando plus 7.5 seems like the right play. I think that Warriors really aren't going to be all that much without Curry, and it was exactly like that. Not only did Orlando cover plus 7.5, but they won outright, 94-90. Was a close game all the way through, but when a team like the Orlando Magic, who is now 20-53, is able to beat you at this point in the season, I know they're without Curry, but does that raise any concerns for you?
I guess the concerning thing for me is that they scored 90 points, and that's really bad. Like it'd be one thing if they were playing good defense, but they just weren't. And while guys like Poole definitely helped things, and Clay had an off night, probably could have shot better, but they just don't seem to have the consistent scoring all the way through. That's kind of surprising when you see the guys that they have on this team, but I'm not sure. I saw that FanDuel had Otto Porter as the MVP for this game, so that kind of tells you all you need to know. And he didn't
No.
really do anything outside of the rebound number that kind of stood out for that. But yeah, I'm not too sure. The main thing here for me is that I guess 40 minutes with Jordan Poole is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, right? That isn't going to cut it. And I guess, they were scoring really well too throughout the game. I guess it's really just those bookend quarters because in the second quarter, we saw them score 21. That's not a great number, but it's okay. In the third quarter, we saw them score 36. That's the most they scored all night in a quarter. In the fourth quarter and then the first quarter, they scored under 20 points. In the first, they scored 17. In the fourth, they scored 16. That, like you said, it's just not going to cut it at the end of the day to score that little amount of points against a pretty bad defense. I mean, the Magic aren't awful at all when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, but they're definitely not great. So there's no reason that they should have fell short here, honestly.
Yeah, the fourth quarter really was the difference maker here. Getting outscored almost double points by the home team is just not going to cut it. And that's where you miss Steph the most, I guess.
Yeah.
I would have hoped that Clay would have jumped in here a little bit more. But a weird loss for the Warriors. But we could see this turn into something where it's not as weird as we thought anymore. Because yeah, we'll see. Sean said something yesterday that's going to reign true here. You thought that having Steph without Draymond was bad. Now we get to see the other side of that for the next 10 games, and
Hmm.
you see how terrible this could really be. Because Draymond Green, I know that we don't ever really talk about the points from him, but a stat line of 2, 7, and 3 is not ideal in 30 minutes.
No, not at all. I know they ended up kind of not benching him necessarily, but that the reason Otto Porter had such a good game was because he started the second half over Draymond
Yeah,
Green. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to keep up with the Draymond Green side of things, see if he can. I think that he's supposed to help this team when Curry is out, but that just hasn't been the case all year. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can pick up a little bit more slack when it comes to some of these more difficult games. Because we talked about it on yesterday's 30 to lock, right? This Warriors team, they face the Magic here, but their upcoming games include the Heat in their next game. That game's today actually at 6:30.
Yep.
Then the Hawks, who are a really solid team. I mean, we saw that last night. Wizards, a little bit easier of a matchup, but still tough one. Then the Grizzlies, the Sun, the Jazz, the Kings, the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Pelicans. You have three or four playoff teams in that stretch. So I don't know, if you're not able to beat the Orlando Magic, I understand it was away from home. I understand you're still trying to get used to being without Curry. It is concerning though, and Wiggins not picking up the slack has to attribute to this because he shot 5 for 19, just did not do well in this game. So I don't know. There's definitely some concern for me for this Warriors team, and we talked about it also on 30 to Lock, just saying that like this team can fall to fourth and potentially even fifth, right?
Yeah, we'll set the stage and go through the first round playoff matchups today, and we'll also bake in the fact that we could see some shakeup in that middle of the Western Conference. So we'll see how it goes. The Warriors definitely don't have the work cut out for them in terms of, I mean, maybe you could have made the argument that they would have given their younger players, and Otto Porter's not a younger player, but this is kind of the time that they need to give their other players a chance to possibly step up into adversity. So we'll see. Excuse me.
Yeah,
But talking about a team with adversity, the New York Knicks.
yeah, let's talk about the Knicks. Everyone was pretty mad at the Knicks yesterday with all the coaching problems that they had. Hawks end up winning this game 117 to 111 off of the back of an amazing Trae Young performance. I mean, I don't know if you got to watch this game. This is one that I was excited to watch just because you know that whenever Trae Young is in the Garden, you know that the fans are going to show up, the fans are going to boo him, and it's going to be really entertaining. So I made sure to watch this one, and it was a good one to watch because, man, Trae Young lit the world on fire. 45 real life points, 8 assists to go with that. Had a big night fantasy wise, and was able to beat the Knicks 117 to 111. Give me your thoughts here. I want to hear your thoughts first on this Hawks team because it's kind of been back and forth whether they're going to be a playoff team, not going to be a playoff team. What do we think about them at this point?
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where Trae Young's going to have to ball out every night for them to be able to pass somebody. And I don't know, like Julius Randle being out for the Knicks was something, but um, I think this is more of a Knicks blunder than it is a Hawks win. Even though Trae Young did light up the Garden again, he plays very well there. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what the Knicks do with Tom Thibodeau because um, you saw Emmanuel Quickly and Quentin Grimes playing really well, and Jericho Sims also. And then they all got subbed out in the 6 minute mark, and you saw the starters kind of just blow the game. So, is this a Tom Thibodeau thing? What are we thinking about? Like, because I think obviously I don't think the Knicks are going to make the playoffs. It would take a miracle for that to happen. So, what do you think? Is this more of a Trae Young standout win, or is this a Knicks failure?
Think a little bit of both. You know, it's pretty impressive to see a guy for 45 real life points. I feel like that gets swept under the rug sometimes in today's NBA, but 45 real life points is not easy to come by, especially at that guard position. So, him really dominating kind of told you everything you need to know about this game. But also, I mean, the Hawks or the Knicks were able to keep it really close, and they were leading coming into the fourth quarter by one. Just kind of blew the game. And like you said, you saw Emmanuel quickly get taken out. Feels like he should have played more minutes, right? 25 minutes, was one of the best shooters on the team, shot 6 for 11, just looked really good last night. I feel like you could have left some of these bench guys in and felt better about their performance rather than like an Evan Fournier, who I know we had him in DFS last night, but like did not light the world on fire, did not look that amazing. And if Emmanuel Quickly's in instead of Evan Fournier, it would be a completely different ballgame, I feel like. D Ramify says, don't the Knicks usually have good defense? Not recently, but they did early on in the season. Life of Goosey said, Trae Young told a fan to hold that L. Not surprising whatsoever. Seems like something Trae Young would do. And Wolves missed a big one with Dallas. We'll get to all of that later on, but I don't know. I think it's half and half. Like it is definitely a Knicks blunder here, but it's also just the fact that Trae Young's really, really good at basketball and is really entertaining to watch too.
Yeah, that Trae Young video of him taking the telling the fan to take an L was hilarious.
Yeah.
He actually
It,
did. He actually got burnt on the play, on that same play later. But uh, the main thing that sticks out to me is that Trae Young was just able to close the game, and he did. Like this is just the Knicks playing, in my opinion. I don't know. Tom Thibodeau is very loyal to the players that he likes, and when you have an ISO situation with Taj Gibson on Trae Young, whose fault is that really? Because it's not Taj's. Like he's out
yeah.
there, and it's. I just think that you can do better as the Knicks. Like you can. I know Nerlens Noel is out, so you're really kind of tapped with what your options are. But how do you get in a spot where you have ISO ball and Trae Young with Taj Gibson?
Yeah, it's a tough time for sure. I mean, the fact that just Taj Gibson's playing 20 minutes in today's NBA is a little ridiculous, don't you think? Like, it's Taj Gibson, man. He's not. I don't feel like he's up to Cal. I feel like if you take his 20 minutes, give those 20 minutes to Jericho Sims, you're in such a better spot overall. But like, they're just not willing to do that because Tom Thibodeau's good at Tom Thibodeau. So it is what it is.
Yep,
We just got
exactly.
some breaking news for NFL that we will cover here
Whoa.
shortly.
Okay.
Let's wait till we get to NFL offseason. Let's keep focused on the NBA and talk about everything that happened last night. Next game up, your Bucks getting a huge win against the Bulls. I said it in the Discord last night. Your Bulls take is coming to fruition late in the season. We're seeing this Bulls team kind of crumble, and this is a fully healthy Bulls team outside Alonzo Ball. So like, are Chicago fans hitting the panic button at this point?
Maybe a little bit. I think the expectations are high this year. I also think that they looked good all season until they had some injury problems, and now I think their record. And I need to check this because I think that Chat probably knows this answer too. But the Bulls against the top, like any playoff team slash like top four team in either conference, they have an abysmal record of like under 30% win
It's like
rate.
3 and
So
13 or something. It might
yeah,
be. I
it's
mean, it's like
something really
3 and 17 now or something. It's ridiculous.
yeah. So if they can't do that, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of a like they're the actual division that the Bucks and Bulls are in together has some really bad teams in it. You have the Pacers, you have the Pistons, and obviously you can beat up on those teams. So I don't know. I just think this is another game where I expected it to be close, and then Milwaukee just kind of put their foot on the gas.
Yeah, Milwaukee looked really good last night. I mean, Giannis was doing his thing from basically everywhere. The whole team looked good. I just it didn't look like the Bulls were even on their level, which was kind of surprising to watch because you would expect them to be there, but they certainly weren't. Um, I don't know. It comes to a point where like, does this Bulls team end up beating any of the top four if they're matched up with the Celtics, the 76ers, the Bucks, or the Heat? I think they lose all four of those series and lose them probably pretty convincingly. I against the 76ers, against the Bucks, and against the Heat, I could probably see them getting gentlemen swept. Maybe it goes to 6 games against Boston, but I think Boston is clearly the better team, especially when you consider that elite defense. So like, I don't know, man. It should be really interesting to see what this Bulls team is able to do because I feel a first round exit coming up really soon here.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second, but that's exactly where my thoughts are. They just don't seem like they're built to make it past the second round. And even the first round this year with the East being as top heavy as it is, they really needed that 1 to 2 seed that they had locked up earlier in the year. And they've slipped, and now they're in a spot where they can get caught by a Boston team that's been playing very, very well as of late.
Yeah, really, really well. Let's keep moving. Talk about the next game. Last game on last night's slate. It was the Nuggets facing off against the Clippers in this one. Nuggets looked dominant. Jokic looked dominant, man. It was a great game to watch. Jokic looked like he had control of the game all the way through, and it was a pretty easy win for the Nuggets in my book. I guess this just makes us go back to the MVP race, like always, and talking about how good is Jokic and does he? I think he's still plus money over at Bet Online to win the MVP. But how do we feel about him winning the MVP at this point? Because I feel like there's no way you can't give him the MVP. But I know a lot of people disagree with me, and a lot of people say Embiid is the guy.
Yeah, I mean the odds are down again just because of how dynamic the last a couple of games have been for both of those guys. So you have Embiid against LeBron tonight. Joker is still getting plus money as of yesterday. I'm sure it's probably the same. Maybe we're living in a bet online bubble. I don't check very many other sports books, but I would assume that if everything is where it is right now, I would assume everybody has Embiid as the favorite, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. I'll still take that plus money bet, man, any day of the week. All right, let's do what you wanted to do. Let's set up what these what the playoffs would look like if they started today. I mean, we're only a few games out. I think, what did we say? Every team has about like 10 games left at this point, maybe 9 or 8 games now. So we're just right around the corner. In the East, we would have the Miami Heat facing off against whoever wins the playoff game or the play-in game for the 8th seed, whether that be the Nets or the Hornets. The Bucks would end up facing off against whoever won the playoff game between the Raptors and the Hawks. 76ers get the Cavs, and Celtics get the Bulls. Um, I don't know. I mean, whoever the Nets get, I think that's the most interesting series, right? Like
Yeah,
out of the bunch, like if the Nets end up getting the Heat, that's going to be a barn burner for 7 games, most likely.
I'm terrified as a Milwaukee fan to have that series possibly happen.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a real chance it could,
yeah.
and I think that it's probably more likely that they get the Heat, but they definitely could beat the Raptors in one game. So I guess like if the Raptors, so it's 7-8, right? Or is it 8-9? Is that how that works?
8, 9, and then 7, 10. Right? That's
Okay,
the matchups for the
so
playing games. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, so like we have to keep an eye on who, if the Hornets can get the 8 seed, because I don't want the Nets to be away for that play-in game.
Yeah. Yeah, you do really want, if you're the Hornets, you're specifically trying to get the Nets to play at home, right? That way, so maybe they
Right.
are without Kyrie. Um,
Yep.
that's the ideal way to get things done. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this Hornets team does, and if they do end up playing at home. I mean, man, like what? It'll be it'll be a big disadvantage for them rather than playing in Brooklyn and without Kyrie for that Nets team. Let's
Yep.
cover the West and talk about, or do you want anything else you want to cover for the East before we move on to the West?
They do. I mean, the Nets. I don't know. They have some good games coming up, but the rest are, it seems like kind of a cakewalk. So they should be able to make it through some of these games here. And today they get lucky because they get Kyrie away from home and John Morant's out today. So
Hmm.
they do kind of get a little bit lucky there, but they do have the Heat, Hornets, Bucks coming up soon.
Hey, Grizz are still good. They could still get that win.
That's true.
Don't discount them for sure. All right, in the West, we have the Suns facing off against whoever wins in a Clippers versus Lakers playing game. That's going to be a blast, man. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Um, I'm more talking about the playing game than the 1 versus 8 seed matchup. Grizzlies get to face off against the Timberwolves or the Pelicans. Feel like the Pelicans have a little bit of a chance to upset there, honestly, with how they've been playing the second half of the season. Then Warriors facing off against the Nuggets and Jazz facing off against the Mavericks. I feel like there's still a lot of movement to happen in the West right now, specifically towards the
Yeah.
bottom end. Nuggets are a game away from the Timberwolves. Jazz are a game away from the Mavericks. You have the Warriors and Grizzlies pretty close to each other. You could see this Warriors team continue to fall, like we've talked about. So, like, there should be a lot of shakeup in this Western Conference before we reach playoff time.
Yeah, that win streak and column in the standings right now is definitely a little bit shaky for the West.
Yeah,
So I think that we could see something like the Clippers. I know that it's very very unlikely that they move from either way, but they lost 4 in a row now, and they don't have any of their stars coming back. Like we haven't heard a single thing about Kawhi or PG-13, which is kind
yeah,
of insane. Um, the most slept on story and team in the league this year by far.
seriously.
Anyway, yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see. We can have this conversation again next week, and I'm sure we'll probably say the same thing because it's really going to come down to the last like 2 games.
Yep. Last thing, just to kind of give a hint of what's going on tonight. Like you said, we have the Lakers and 76ers facing off against each other. Embiid and LeBron fighting for that scoring title. LeBron, Embiid, and Giannis are all now at 29.8 average points per
Yeah,
game in that race for the scoring title. It's an insane race, man. I mean, like I know this was the stat from 3 days ago that I heard about this. But I think it was all 29.8, and I think it would said like if Giannis had made one more basket, he would be ahead of both of them, and he was in third at that point. And it's like this is a historic type of scoring race because of how close it is.
yeah, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter last night either. So it's
Insane.
just it's crazy. We talked about the minutes yesterday. LeBron's playing the most by far. So I know that doesn't they don't take that into account at all. Like at the end of the day, they're just going to take averages, but it's cool to see how all three of those guys are doing what they're doing, and maybe that's the reason why Embiid's getting the love here. Because I know Joker is kind of like 4 or 5 points below that, but
Hmm.
it's cool. I mean, I think it's awesome to see more than just one guy leading the pack.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. Usually you have that guy that's a clear favorite to win the scoring race, and to see it so close and so bunched up with these three, and all three of them be absolutely superstar studs towards the end of the year, like it's fun to watch. So it's going to be exciting to see for these next 10 games, and it should be interesting to see what LeBron's able to do tonight and what Joel's able to do against a really weak Lakers team. So should be fun. All right. Also, no Jaw tonight. We already heard about that. That's going to be a good opportunity for the Nets to get a win. It's also Kyrie's birthday. Insane that Kyrie turned 30 today. Not only is Kyrie 30, which blew my mind in itself, did you know that Aaron Judge is 30 years old too?
Well,
How is Aaron Judge 30 years old, man? Like, when did this happen?
that just tells you how crazy baseball is and how
Yeah.
long it takes players to get in. Uh, yeah, no, that actually makes me feel a little bit better about my age, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I bet. I bet it does. Anyway, it should be really interesting to see everything that goes on tonight. Should be a really good NBA slate. 11 games to cover, and I know you and Sean have that one all to cover to yourself. So should be a good podcast to listen into. Let's move on. Let's talk about what everyone is here to talk about because we can get to this thing that we have in the middle of these two after the NFL. But we just got some breaking news for the NFL offseason in saying that the Chiefs have told Tyree Kill's agent that they are allowed to go look for a trade. Supposedly, extension talks have stalled, and Tyree Kill might be the next big wide receiver that's traded. Insane. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about it. I know you've been trying to avoid it. I know that's the real reason we've been off. I'm joking, but I know that's kind of the real reason that we've been off. But Devontae Adams traded last week, and then Tyree Kill potentially traded this week. I mean, what a shakeup! The NFL shakeup this year has been insane.
Yeah, I mean, when we're getting to, so I'm surprised first of all. I've been having a coughing attack because I've been so it was such a threw me off completely for the last 10 minutes. But I am surprised that the Chiefs that happened to them. Like I maybe like so there's no hope that he's going to get signed by the Chiefs.
I don't know. I mean, the stuff that I'm hearing now too is saying that like it's the
It
Jets and
sounds like it's
Dolphins.
over. Yeah,
Yeah, the Jets and Dolphins are both in serious talks with Chiefs on this blockbuster trade. So it seems like we're here, man. Like that. Oh, that sent chills down me. But like, it seems like we're about to see Tyree Kill traded, and that's insane, man. Like that. What? Like
yeah,
we talked about the collapse of the Chiefs happening somewhat soon, right? Especially this is like the worst time to have to trade away your star player like this because the AFC West only got stronger this year. Like what does this mean for the Chiefs overall? Because I feel like this brings them down a few pegs on the ladder when it comes to just this really tough AFC West division.
yeah. It's not good. It's not good at all. Their defense lost a few key pieces. I know the Packers just signed their D tackle, the Chiefs D tackle. So um, I don't know. I mean, could this be a standout year for Travis Kelsey? Maybe. Like Juju Smith-Schuster's about to get skyrocketed,
Oh my
uh,
goodness.
and, and
Yeah.
then you also have Demarcus Robinson who left, and I believe Mecole Hardman signed somewhere else too. Maybe he signed back with the Chiefs, but I know that Demarcus Robinson left in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, and you're expecting CEH to have a monster year too. I don't think that they're as good as everybody thinks that they are. And we saw this coming eventually. I just didn't think it would be this year. So
I sorry, go ahead.
no, I don't know where he's going to go. I don't think the Jets or Dolphins really fit. The Dolphins maybe, but they have like 6 receivers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean like I don't know one why you would trade him to the Jets and Dolphins, but two like that's inside of the AFC. So you really want to
Yeah,
face off against Tyreek Hill? I mean that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. This is a huge weapons upgrade for if Tua or Wilson end up getting Tyreek Hill on their team. Um, it's a huge upgrade, and Tyreek Hill can really be the guy in either of those systems. So maybe it's just the fact that he hasn't been able to be the guy with the Chiefs, and he wants to be that dude. So it should be interesting. A lot of people in the chat are saying Saquon to the Chiefs. no reports on that yet, but I mean, what do you think about Saquon to the Chiefs? Because I personally, I hate that take. I hate Saquon going anywhere. I don't know how
Yeah,
I feel about this.
no, Saquon. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we already know that they don't like CEH that much, and I just don't think that there's enough there. I don't. I don't think Saquon fits very well in that system either.
I don't think so either, man. Man, I think it's kind of a mess, honestly, and I just like you said, I don't think it works out well. So should be really interesting to keep up with. This feels like it developed way too fast. This had to be developing for the last few days and not something that just popped out of nowhere. Like I don't know. This seems way too out of the blue almost.
Yeah, their roster currently has Juju, Mecole Hardman, Josh Gordon, Justin Watson, and then a few other guys. Corey Coleman being one of them. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Well,
Anyway, like I don't expect. Maybe it's a Mecole Hardman breakout year, but we've been looking for that for a long time. So we thought it was going to be this year with Sammy Watkins gone. I'm not sure. I don't really want to put anything out there because I frankly have no idea what's going to happen. This has been. I was talking with a buddy last night. It's been the most like we've seen writing on the wall with some things, but there are things that have come out of the blue just like unlike anything ever before, and this is another one of those things.
yeah.
It makes me feel better about Devontae's situation
Yeah,
because
no, yeah.
that just means the Chiefs can't pay him the money. Like they
Mhm.
literally can't. And so Devontae, I have not done this. Maybe somebody in the chat has, but the Adams money situation, he has to make more money. He's making quarterback money over the next 3 years, and I would assume Tyree Kill thinks that he's in the same boat as that. So
Yeah.
you're looking at two wide receivers now, and you have guys like Justin Jefferson on their way up. Chris Godwin, I know worked something out with the team, but you're getting to the spot where some of these wide receivers are making more money than like a third of the quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah. Should be really interesting, man. So, shout out to our AP Kai for throwing this in our production room chat. But if and when the Chiefs trade Tyree Kill, Casey's wide receivers would include Juju Smith-Schuster, McCall Hardman, Josh Gordon, Justin Watson, Cornell Powell, Dieter Gehrig, who I've never heard of, and Corey Coleman. Um, you would expect this team to probably go into getting another guy in free agency, maybe drafting a guy. MVS, I heard, was visiting the Chiefs tonight or today, so that should be interesting. Lots of moving parts around this whole team, and I don't know. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it.
Well, here's the thing, because we just saw. Um, I'm looking at the two teams that they have circled in on, and we know that the Jets traded or sent Jamison Crowder to the Bills when they cut Cole Beasley. So, what assets do these teams actually have to give back on the receiving end? Maybe they're getting a running back trade. I don't know, but Michael Carter would be a nice piece for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Um, Now they don't have anybody else. I don't know. You're not going to trade away Mims, and you're not going to trade away. Um, why am I blanking on this name? The
Um,
Jets wide receiver.
Corey Davis,
No, the better one.
the better one. I don't know who you're talking about.
Somebody in chat knows. Like why it's definitely baseball season, guys. We can't remember anything. Uh, Miami, the Dolphins have like 8 receivers, but I mean, are you sending Will Fuller? Like you're not sending Jalen Waddle over there. So I don't know. Uh, anyway, I'll think of the name in a second, but they don't
Devontae
really
Parker
have any
could get
assets to
traded.
change. I guess maybe that would be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Should like you said, should be very interesting. Maybe they're not getting back any wide receivers. Maybe they're just getting back draft picks. If that's the case, that'd be pretty. I mean, like, I wonder what type of haul you would get for Tyree Kill when it comes to draft picks. What was the final trade? What did the Packers end up getting? They got a first round
They
pick,
got
right? A
a
first and a second.
they got a first and a second.
Yeah.
So the reason that happened, by the way, Elijah Moore was the name. Uh,
Ah, yes.
I don't think they're trading him away. But
No.
anyway, they got a first and second for Devontae. And the reason that they did that was because Devontae turned down the franchise tag. And when you do that, you can't, and you're exchanging in a trade with another team, you cannot include players.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
they were only allowed to get back picks in this
Gotcha.
trade scenario.
Okay.
No, Goosey Crowder is on the Buffalo Bills now, which is kind of something we missed over the past week that I think is going to go definitely overlooked this season.
Tyree Kill. This is just a thing from Adam Schefter, just a stats thing. Tyree Kill is one of 4 players since 1970 with at least 6 touchdown catches in each of his first 6 NFL seasons. Those other receivers are Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, and Marvin Harrison. So elite company to be with. He's had an elite quarterback all his life. I don't know. Is it overreacting a little bit to say I'm very curious to see how his play will be with a non-elite quarterback if it is Tua or Wilson that he gets as his new guy.
It's terribly scary, and we don't know. Man, I don't like either of those situations. I could see it being a Dolphins scenario. We've seen um, your coach move over there and basically copy the
Mm,
exact formula of the Niners, which we'll talk about as the season goes on here. Like literally copied it player by player.
yeah,
But anyway, I don't have faith of Tyreek Hill going anywhere that I feel comfortable about. The only one that would make sense that will never happen would be him going to the Packers.
yeah. That
They
man,
don't have the cap for that. There's no
that'd
chance.
be shocking. That'd be absolutely jaw dropping
Yeah.
right there. When it does come, I mean, like Waddle and Hill would be one of the most elite
Yeah.
and dynamic wide receiver pairings in the league. I don't think you
It'd
get
be
much
cool.
better than that. Like Jefferson and Thielen come to mind, and like some other duos come to mind, but I don't think anything matches up with Hill and Waddle. So it would be really, really fun to watch. Life of Goosey says Madden 23 is going to look way different. It's going to look completely different, man. Like we said, this is probably the biggest shakeup we've ever had in an NFL offseason, or at least that's the way it feels because we've seen big names go everywhere.
Yeah, I'm keeping a very, very close eye on Tyler Lockett and where he goes the next couple weeks here because I do think he's on the move somewhere. I don't know where, but again very, very curious to see whatever team he goes to, what that haul is. If it's 2 picks, because I would assume, I don't know, they would probably give some similar draft capital to Hill as the Raiders gave Adams.
Yeah. I would assume you have to, so should be interesting to watch. Let's talk about everything else that has been happening in the NFL since we were last here, because a lot has happened. Vikings ended up getting Zadarius Smith. That was a huge news type of thing yesterday. 3 years, 42 million. I hate to keep kind of digging at your Packers, but Zadarius is a really good piece, and it should be exciting to see him play this season because I know he was out all of last year.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And we knew that it was a contract year for him, and he didn't play outside of one game. Tried to come back, didn't really play much in the playoffs. Um, but the Packers chose to keep the other Smith and Preston Smith. They signed him for what seems to be the end of his career. And they also signed Kenny Clark, and they also picked Devondre Campbell. So I think they feel comfortable with Rashawn Gary, and they just got Peters, I believe his name is, from the Chiefs to fill that D tackle spot. So they're happy with what they have, and they couldn't play another guy. Because obviously, I think if you paid another guy, it would probably go to Adams. So you'll see some of those spots for the Packers kind of drop off. And we knew that the writing was on the wall for Zadarius Smith. So I'm just kind of shocked that he did not sign with with Baltimore and chose to go to the NFC North.
Yeah, I mean that Baltimore signing, they had it, then they didn't have it. It was very forget who did this with the Cowboys. Was it Randy Gregory that signed with the Cowboys and then
Yeah,
decided
a
not to and
little
went to the
different though.
Broncos? Yeah, a
A
little
little different
different.
situation there.
Yeah, definitely. Just very interesting to see him go there. I think that Vikings defense pairing up Daniel Hunter and Zadarius Smith on the ends. That's a dangerous combo, man. Should be a lot of fun to watch. Well, let's keep talking. Taron Armstead signed a big deal with the Dolphins, 5 years, 75 million. Getting some protection for Tua is definitely something that is important for that team overall, and not much better than that you can get than Taron Armstead because that guy is a stud when it comes to the tackle position. So good signing there. And if they have that, I mean, just to add on to the Hill news, I mean, you have that signing, you get Hill. Like, how much of a competitor are the Dolphins right now? Because they're certainly
Yeah.
shaping up to be that guy.
The only thing that sucks for them is that they have Josh Allen, who's never leaving Buffalo, and they
Yeah,
also have an AFC West that's going to be insane. So again, we're probably going to see a scenario where you have three AFC West teams in the playoffs, and the Dolphins are going to have to battle with the Patriots to get that second spot to have any chance at a wild card. Um, I think they're looking good. This is where the Hill thing gets interesting because I think they turned into a playoff contender, but I don't think that they have a shot this year as far as making a real run. Maybe I'm wrong, but they're definitely being set up for success, though.
yeah, they certainly are. You're definitely right there. Let's talk about the QB carousel that's going on because we saw Matt Ryan go to the Colts. Forget the total compensation, but it was what, like 2/3 or a second and a third, or the very small amount of return for Matt Ryan. But he got traded to the Colts. That was big news, a big deal for this Colts team. They have had a different starter under center for the past, I think, 7 years now. It was like it went from Andrew Luck to another guy, then Andrew Luck again, and then over the past few years, it's been Philip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and now Matt Ryan. Just a true QB carousel in Indy. I wonder if they draft someone this year to try to keep him under Matt Ryan or keep him behind Matt Ryan, and then try to find their guy.
Yeah, I think that it's hilarious that you saw Devontae and now probably Tyree Kill both are going to get better draft capital trades than Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz and all of the above. So I truly have no idea where Baker Mayfield goes. Like I'm actually stumped. I think that like the best thing that I've seen so far, which I guess makes a little bit of sense, but again, like is he actually gonna do this personality wise? I'm not sure. Baker Mayfield could be a backup for Tom Brady and then take his starting job.
Insanity. What a ridiculous season we have going on here. I mean, even just to add on, like where I feel like you're still kind of in shambles of where Jimmy G goes. Probably nowhere. Probably the Niners end up keeping Jimmy G. I keep seeing this
Yeah.
clip played last year where Lynch is talking to the press and saying that, it's not a guarantee that Jimmy G ends up leaving for the 2022 season. Maybe they keep him around and give Trey Lance another year, but wasting 2 years of a rookie contract QB just does not sound appealing to me. Actually, sounds absolutely awful. So,
Yep.
I saw this thing. It was like who the 49ers could sign if they were able to let Jimmy G go and get rid of his cap. And it's like they could sign Tyrann Mathieu, they could sign another wide receiver, they could sign a whole bunch of pieces to make this team really
Yep.
solid. And it just seems like Lynch and Shanny are kind of dragging their feet right now.
Yeah, either that or they're waiting for just waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know. It seems like the opportunity's kind of passed on them already, but they're not going to trade Jimmy G to Seattle. Baker might go there. Who knows? Um, and the only other quarterback spot that I can see right now is Houston, and I
Yeah.
don't know if they want to take that gamble on that. So um, I don't know. Do you think Davis Mills starts over anybody that they could bring in?
I don't know if he starts over anyone that they could bring in, but I think they rather go Davis Mills. I mean, he was like everyone dogs on Davis Mills and on this Texans team, but Mills was a pretty solid piece last year. Like he wasn't a bad rookie QB in all honesty. He had like the highest red zone completion rate in the whole NFL. Probably because the Texans weren't there very often, but he did have that for him. So he had some impressive stats last year, and we saw him show his stuff throughout multiple points in the season. I specifically remember that Patriots game that he was in, and he really showed off in that game. So I don't know. I know a lot of people are up and down on Mills, but I'm personally a Mills truther. I think Mills could be, I don't know, the QB of the future for that team, but a bridge QB until they find their guy next year, maybe in like a Bryce Young or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't hate Mills at all. I would actually probably take Mills over Baker because
Yeah.
we know that Baker can't throw the deep ball. So what's the point of having him in the offense?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anything else for the NFL offseason? If not, let's get to spring training and talk about that.
Nope. We're about a month and a week out from the NFL draft stuff, which we will talk about at nausea later.
Yeah, hey, you guys will get annoyed with how much I talk about the NFL draft, especially with all of my dynasty leagues that I have. You guys will be pretty floored with all the draft information that I'm going to have this year. Regardless, let's talk about the spring training, everything that's happening in the MLB, including yesterday, which this kind of shocked me, but really cool, really fun to find out about. The MLB introducing the Ohtani Rule. This rule allows for when a pitcher is taken out of the game, they are still allowed to hit from the DH position. This is kind of I mean, like Ohtani has one good season and they change a rule for him. Like, how crazy is that?
Oh, specifically, they want to market like they know that Trout is going to be around for a while still, but why not just showcase the other star player on their team and build the future around those two guys? So the only way to do that is to include this rule because there's no other pitchers they're actually going to change a DH guy out for this. Maybe there's a new generation of kids that are able to do what he's doing, but he's a one of a kind. So they made the rule specifically for him.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's good for the game. It's good for the sport. It's something that should already be a thing, right? Like you shouldn't have to. The whole thing with Otani last year, where like they'd have to take him out from pitching and then he wouldn't be able to hit. It's ridiculous. So I think it was a good rule change and definitely solid for him for sure. Some of the things that we missed while we were gone, Chris Bryant to the Rockies in a shocking move that I don't think anyone expected. Freeman to the Dodgers. Not a shocking move that I think kind of everyone expected. Trevor Story to Boston was definitely shocking after hearing him say that he wanted to play short and then, kind of throwing that to the side this season to play with that Red Sox team. And then also the biggest shocking news, Carlos Correa to the Twins on a humongous deal for 3 years, 105 mil, opt out after every single season in that deal. So really, he could be one and done in Minnesota. He could stay there for all 3 years. Who knows what's going to happen? But lots of moving around through free agency like we expected. And I don't know which one of these four moves are the biggest.
Oh, Correa by far is the
Yeah.
biggest move. Um, and the reason for that is, I mean, first of all, the opt out after a year thing is weird. It's
Hmm.
shocking. But after, we've seen like last year was the year of monster deals, like the 8 to 10 year deals. And I don't think that any of those have opt outs every year. So this is a strange one. But the Twins are going, while they certainly regressed in a lot of situations, but then they got really, really, really good in a lot of other ones. So I don't know. I mean, I think that they want to compete in a division that's pretty weak in the AL
Yeah.
Central outside of, I mean, the Tigers are coming up too, but I still think that the Twins are the clear number two in that spot. So maybe they make a move here on the White Sox when we thought that the White Sox year was last year. So I guess who knows? But uh, Buxton Correa is going to be really fun to watch as long as they can stay healthy.
Yeah, one of the most dominant 1-2s in the game right now, Buxton and Correa. Like that's absolutely insane. Like you said, as long as they can stay healthy, that's going to be the main concern for that team. I don't know. I feel like they're weak elsewhere though, so I don't know how much of a chance they really have against the White Sox team that's still pretty solid. I feel like people
Yeah,
forget just how good the White Sox are, but even after losing Rendon, they still have one of the best pitching staffs and still have one of the best bullpens in the league. So should be interesting to watch the AL Central develop. And like you said, Tigers are right there, right? They're up and coming for sure. So they're right around the corner from contending, in my opinion. Let's talk about uh, anything else here. Like, what are your thoughts on the other deals?
I'm just so annoyed at the Dodgers. We'll talk about them later. I don't want to spend a single second on that.
Yeah.
But it would be, I will do everything in my power while we're going to roster them ad nausea this
Hmm.
season. I'll do everything in my power to root against that team later on in the year.
Yeah, I feel you. Definitely. I don't know, man. I
It's
can't even.
stupid.
You can't even. The fact that I saw a graphic last night. I forget. I think Jock Peterson was the one who tweeted about it. And it was like the Dodgers are spending $270 million on their payroll, and the Orioles are spending $30 million on their payroll. It's like you're spending a tenth of the money of what the almost a tenth of the money of what the Dodgers are paying out right now. Like That's
Yep,
insane. The MLB is insane in
yep,
general because you wouldn't see that in any other sport.
exactly. And it's just going to be like if they, I don't know. I don't want to bring basketball into this, but it just feels like at some point the baseball has to put a salary cap restriction on this thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like before, like it's already blown way past the proportion of unfair.
Yeah, no, it completely has. It definitely has. So, um, I don't know. It's a major champion or bust situation in LA for sure.
Oh, it
What?
is. It is only option.
Yeah,
Like they
with the
failed last year, and then the team that beat them, they traded their best players signed to that team.
yeah,
So like it's
facts. Yeah.
it's there's only one situation for LA, and if they lose in the World Series or anything before it, it's a blown season.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's talk about arbitration because we are in that arbitration time right now. We're seeing a lot of players end up coming to deals with these teams. This doesn't feel like the usual year where like arbitration's a big deal, and there's teams that are kind of like fighting with the players. Seems like a lot of teams are coming to agreements right now. I know Trey Turner's one of those guys. I think Vlad was another guy as well who came to a deal. And you're kind of just seeing it all throughout the league where these teams are actually just agreeing with one another. It seems like everyone just wants to play baseball.
Yeah, I mean, can teams talk to their players about this pre-lockout or no?
I have no clue. I don't think so, but I honestly,
Okay.
I would be shocked if they could.
It seems that they have already talked. Maybe they talked like last week or 2 weeks ago, but that's going very, very fast right now, and
Yeah,
like a lot faster than normal. It's probably just because we don't have much time here right now, so they're prioritizing that at the moment. But yeah, I've seen a lot of players do that. Max Fried was another one this morning that came through. So it's I don't think anybody's really gonna like actually cause drama with this one.
yeah. We see that Gary Sanchez signed for Gary Sanchez files for 9.5. The Twins were at 8.5, so that's a close one. Things between Max Fried and Atlanta are very close. 6.85 for Fried, and then 6.6 for Atlanta. Judge, I know, is one that's kind of going back and forth right now. I think the Yankees filed at 17. He filed at 21. So I think he
Well,
ends up getting pretty close to 20 million, honestly. But that's going to be
yeah,
interesting. Juan Soto was one that ended up getting an agreement on. He got up to 17 mil. Josh Bell got 10 million. I'm just reading through Bob Nightingale.
yikes, that's a lot.
Yeah, yeah, right. Trey Turner 21 million.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Teoscar Hernandez 10 million. Your boy Josh Hader 11 million.
yep,
Rafael Devers 11.2 million. Edwin Diaz 10.2 million. I think that's about it here. I think there's probably a few more, but those are the major ones. So we're going to continue to see this arbitration stuff go on. I expect more news on the judge situation pretty soon. It's going to be interesting to see what happens through arbitration because a lot of these teams need to come to deals and get to work, right? Because we're in spring training right
yep,
now and we're 2 weeks away from a season.
yep. 2 weeks and 1 day from today.
Absolutely awesome. I can't wait. I know you can't wait for sure. Speaking of can't wait, if you haven't signed up for MLB, I don't know what you're doing. You definitely should. Corn is providing the heat with spring training right now. He's been absolutely amazing. All you need to do to be part of the spring training package is just sign up for all access, and boom, you have it. He's been providing consistent content. It's been bonus content, so it's not like guaranteed every day, but it's Corn. He's basically going to do it every day. So he's been kicking ass and taking names just like he does every year. And I know last night was a good night for members as well.
Yep, I've had a couple people pay off their memberships already before the season
Yeah.
even starts. It's crazy. So also, we're making a huge like FanDuel obviously is our bread and butter. We're gonna continue to do what we normally do there, but DraftKings, we're really starting to make an emphasis on having people play over there because there are edges to be had. It's a whole different site that is completely different from FanDuel. The way that you approach research, the way that you approach constructing lineups, and we, Josh, I, and Corn are all emphasizing playing on DraftKings more than ever before, and we have a lot of things to also include that we've never done for from a season content perspective over on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And one of those things includes DraftKings articles for every early only slate, which we've never done in company history. It's always been FanDuel only for early only, but we're making that transition. Both you and I are making that transition. So Cash Game's getting it, and GPP's getting it as well. It's the best of both worlds for sure, and you can get all that content just by signing up for the All Access package, which, even though we're providing more content than ever, is cheaper than ever before. So it's really truly the best of both worlds there. All right. Anything else for the MLB, Jared? If not, let's keep it moving and talk about March Madness.
No, I think is there any big names left to sign? I think we reached all of them.
There's no big names left to sign. There is the situation of, are the Athletics going to trade Frankie Montos and Sean Minaya? And
Uh,
it's likely that they are. Go ahead.
Sean Minaya signed with the A's.
Sorry, just Frankie Montas. My bad. But
Okay.
you're going to see someone traded in this rotation.
Yeah, I think the only name I can remember off the top of my head that is not done yet is Jose Ramirez. I believe
Yeah.
he's still on the market.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, that'll be. The Guardians are one of those teams as well that's towards the bottom of the MLB when it comes to the amount of money that they're paying out on their salary cap stuff. So should be interesting to watch what happens with Jose Ramirez. If he goes somewhere, he's that team becomes an even better contender most likely. All right, we have March Madness tomorrow, starting back up. Sweet 16 kicks off with 4 games on Thursday, and 4 really good games. 4 games that are going to be a lot of fun to watch. We have Gonzaga versus Arkansas. We have Villanova versus Michigan. We have Duke versus Texas Tech, and we have Arizona versus Houston.
Yep.
Man, should be a lot of fun to watch. Let's start off with Gonzaga and Arkansas. We've seen Gonzaga, be pretty good throughout the tournament. We've seen Arkansas be that one SEC team that's still left after the SEC has had a terrible bracket time. What do we think about this matchup here?
Yeah, I think Gonzaga, they kind of got you could argue that Memphis Gonzaga was one of the games of the tournament so far, and I think that they got helped out a little bit. But that's I don't know. I'm not a Drew Timmy fan, but I can't say anything really bad about him or Chet for how they've played so far. And I think that they should be able to handle Arkansas pretty easily.
Yeah, I would agree. Arkansas should be, not going to say a cakewalk, but should be easy for them. You have Villanova and Michigan. This one will be really exciting too. This Michigan team kind of been one of the underdogs of the bracket, and it's a tough matchup against Villanova for sure. But it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think Michigan does have a chance here, but again, you are and when you get this far into the tournament, it's all about guard leadership and guard play. And Villanova has arguably one of the best guards in the country in Connor Gillespie. So
Yep.
we haven't seen much of Connor lately, just because he missed the season before, and then the bracket or the tournament did not happen the year before that. So it's been a long time since we saw Connor, and that was kind of when Villanova was on that title run with Jalen Brunson. So I believe Dante DiVincenzo was also on that team. Um, so yeah, we're going to be able to see Connor step up in the spot. He's been huge for them so far, and I think that Villanova's got a pretty good shot this year as well. So I do think Michigan has some dog viability, but I think it's pretty. I'm going with Villanova.
Yep, for sure. Texas Tech and Duke. Oh, geez, man, I'm sweating a little bit here. I always said that I didn't think we were even going to make it to the Sweet 16 this season. It came close when we faced off against Michigan State, but they end up pulling out a dub here. This is a tough matchup against Texas Tech. This is a really solid team. Duke's been
Yep.
pretty good throughout outside of defense, which we've talked about at length. This team just doesn't want to guard the 3-point line to save their life. But this Duke team has looked pretty solid. They've looked like a respectable 2 seed. So I don't know. What are your thoughts here? I know who I'm rooting for, but who are you rooting for?
Yeah, I mean we're on opposite sides of this one. I think Texas Tech has a championship type of roster. I don't believe that. I think these two seeds should have been switched. I think that they just have a little bit of an edge here. And now, I don't know. I still think Duke has underperformed for the amount of star power that they have on the roster as well. So it should be a really close game, and that is directly impacted by the spread, which is 1 point,
Hmm.
which is crazy. So
Yeah.
I think Texas Tech does come out. They're my final team. I have Arizona versus Texas Tech, with Arizona taking it. So You kind of know my answers for the next two games.
Yeah. Last game, Arizona, Houston. Like you said, you think Arizona wins this one. I think Arizona wins this one. The American Conference is awful, dude. I can't believe Houston made it this far. I don't know. I think Arizona just clearly outclasses them in this one, honestly.
Yeah, 1.5 is trappy because Houston's defense is really good. It has been really good, and they're physical. But Arizona just has clear elite talent way above them. So
You know.
if they can get out of that physical game or just be more physical than Houston, they should have no problem. I think Arizona wins, and you could see the free throw game take this game over 10 points.
Yep, should be really fun to watch, and should be a good time for sure. All right, let's get out of here. Let's do NHL blind dogs and then get out of here because we haven't been able to do blind dogs in a while, but we get to do them now. So I don't have Bet Online pulled up, but I will get it pulled up as you take your pick.
Perfect. Yeah. I haven't been paying a single second to NHL, so let's
Too
see.
much going on, man. Way too much going on.
All right. Only 4 games today. Lots of huge spreads. I'm actually not going to take the not going to take the lowest dog here, so I'll go with the I'll go against Anthony's team. Go
Oh
with the
no.
Buffalo Sabres at home.
Hopefully Anthony isn't watching. He wouldn't be too happy with that. All right, you take Sabres at home. I'm going to go with the lowest underdog, Chicago Blackhawks, plus 110 against the Anaheim Ducks. We'll see how it goes. All right, Jared, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No final thoughts. Crazy day once again. That Tyree Kill news is insane. So
Just
maybe we'll
shocking.
see. Do you think it's a today thing? That's my final thought.
I think so. We just got the report that trade could happen soon. A lot of back and forth between the Chiefs and Tyreek went into this. Kansas City basically sees Tyree Kill as gone at this point. That
Oh,
is a direct quote. Gone, the word gone. So this is, yeah, I think today it happens most likely. That's, man, floored. Absolutely floored by this news.
yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. We gotta keep an eye on this. We'll make sure to let you guys know in the Good Skill chat room if this does happen. But until then, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.